My name is Amber Latour, and I live at 61 Pinecrest Drive in Gilford.
I'm sorry, could you spell your last name?
Sure, it's Latorre.
Thank you.
I'm here today to show my support for the policy protecting transgender and gender nonconforming students. My daughter attends the elementary school. At 7, she is learning what it means to be transgender. She has a transgender friend. At 7, she is able to show compassion and empathy for those that are transgender, something we can all learn from. In no way am I sexualizing or brainwashing her by educating her on gender identity. Please don't think the issue only impacts one transgender student in the school. I can assure you there are more than just one student in the district facing these issues. Whether or not they're comfortable coming out is another thing. It's not our business who these students are, not to mention the future kids who will identify as trans in the district that will be impacted. And I keep hearing it's only 1% or less than 1%. If that's the case, then what are we so afraid of? One fear that's been brought up is if a male student enter the female facilities as a prank or to sneak a peek. This would still be a behavioral issue unrelated to giving transgender students access to facilities that align with their gender identities. You know, when I was in middle school, boys would try and sneak into the locker room. It had nothing to do with gender identity or transgender rights. I hope that we will raise our daughters to stand up for themselves and look out for one another. I also hope we would raise our sons to do what's right as well. Transgender students' rights should not be impacted because we fear abuse of the policy from a non-trans student. Also, these fears are already covered in the school sexual harassment policy. You can't go in a locker room and try and look at somebody else's body. It's in the handbook under sexual harassment policy. Any students with privacy concerns for any reason can utilize the single-user restroom. I do want to distinguish that you fearing your child will be uncomfortable by the presence of a trans student in the same bathroom or locker room is not the same thing as feeling unsafe. Trans kids are more likely to be bullied and assaulted and feel unsafe in school. As a result, they miss more school, and the suicide rates, as we already heard, for trans people are alarming, high at over 40%, higher than non-trans students. This group is marginalized and needs protection. These students should not be forced to use single-user bathrooms, as we've heard. Doing so is isolating these students. They're just trying to fit in and make it through the day like everybody else in school. On the most basic level, we can validate and respect a trans person by using their preferred name and pronoun, even when they're not present, and teaching our children to do so. This is just human decency. If my daughter's in school and someone likes to call her or he just for fun, I would have a problem with that, as we all would, because that's not how she identifies. Words have the power to validate, acknowledge, and include. Refusal to do so sends a message that someone being who they are truly is an inconvenience to you, and you want to set an example of disrespect and judgment. So often we try to validate and rationalize our prejudices under the guise of protecting children. I urge the community to educate themselves on what it means to be transgender and come from a place of love and empathy and learning rather than fear. I'm also asking the school board to offer more educational opportunities on the subject for both parents and students. Our children deserve a safe place to learn, all our students do, and to openly express who they are without being bullied or forced to be segregated. Again, we need to distinguish safe from what's uncomfortable. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Linda Shanley. I live on Sand Hill Road. I'm a proud grandparent, and I also, for 25 years, served as a school nurse in a middle school in Bristol, and I also, for 11 of those years, wrote school board policies. My concern with the policy that's written, JBAB, it does identify singling out the transgender student. I'm thinking that that should be omitted and should say all students. All students That would include the transgender students. All students are the responsibility of the school district to feel safe in the bathroom. In 25 years, I can't begin to tell you how many students that came to me because they didn't feel safe in the bathroom. It had nothing to do with transgender issues. Although I did see many transgender students who came to me and asked my advice what to do. There weren't any policies, there weren't any laws back then. This was back in, from probably 2010 to 14 before I retired. I had to do a lot of problem solving. I was the one who was asked to do all of it. Middle schoolers going through puberty, it's already confusing. Many students don't use the bathroom during the day, they wait until they get home. They have health issues because of it. Ms. Maxwell alluded to that, and I understand it with every single student. So the school district's responsibility on this is to make sure every child feels safe in the locker room, in the bathrooms. There are adequate bathrooms. In the year 2019, sadly, every bathroom should be a single bathroom because of any public issue. And I know that's going to take money to change all of that. However, simple being able to lock the door from the inside, even if it's a 3-stall bathroom. If a child goes in, wants privacy, and they want to lock the door the same as they would in a single-stall bathroom, they have the right. Every single child would have the right. And it might mean a few other students have to wait their turn, but that's life. I really feel that it's come to that, safety for all students, whether it's the locker room, and the locker rooms you've got to figure out a way that every child is going to feel safe and changing. I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and you had no choice. And boys were always sneaking into the locker room. There need to be places where every single child can feel safe changing in the locker room. That's one of the key areas. A lot of students don't try out for sports because they don't want to do the locker room. A lot of students will come in and say, I can't do gym today, I'm sick, because they don't want to change in the locker room. So we're now seeing generations of obesity because kids didn't want to do sports and gym just because of the locker room experience. So whatever we can do to brainstorm to make all children feel safe in both the bathrooms and the locker rooms, then we will have succeeded, and everyone should feel safe. Parents, grandparents, children, students, everyone. So can everybody agree on that? So thank you for your time.
Croc TV.